Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies or converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding Pathmonk to your website in seconds, letting the AI do all the work and increase conversions while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. All right, everyone, welcome back to today's episode of Pathmonk Presents. Today, we are joined by Sarah Stapleton. She's the marketing director at QC Ware. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Of course. Well, glad to have you. So I want to start with the basics, Sarah, if you don't mind. And I want to know, what's the big idea behind QC Ware? And if you were explaining it to a friend over coffee, how would you describe what you do?
Yeah, so at its heart, QCware started as a quantum computing like SaaS company. So we are really on kind of the cutting edge of computer technology, right? And so we have some classical computing hardware, we have algorithms that are targeting quantum hardware, and we have a kind of flagship SaaS platform for advanced molecular discovery. So using basically quantum chemistry to help pharmaceutical companies, material science companies, chemical companies to kind of accelerate their research using our chemistry simulation platform. And then we kind of also have this kind of a third branch of our company that organizes a global event called Q2B. And it is for the quantum computing industry. We have 3 events every year. We just finished up our Tokyo event, actually, and we'll be gearing up for Paris here soon. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, our company as a whole.
All right. Exciting times. And look, I'm not going to pretend when it comes to quantum computing, I know zero. All right. But I'm glad there are companies out there that are advancing our civilization, if you will, in terms of being able to understand it more and having services and software that is able to, to use that, if that makes sense. But I'm curious, are there certain types of industry specifically where you feel your product really shines at the moment?
Yeah. So for our main product, which is Prometheum, which is our software SaaS application, that is really great for anybody doing discovery chemistry in the pharmaceutical industry, or doing kind of computational chemistry or other types of chemistry in, for say, like oil and gas companies, materials companies, chemical companies, those kinds of industries. Basically anybody who's doing that chemistry calculation type of work.
Got it. Okay. And I'm curious, how do people discover you? And I guess in a way, I want to understand a little bit more about your ICP, if you will, if you want to keep, the marketing lingo going, but your ideal customer profile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's within the company is going to be looking for software like yours, and how do they find you?
Yeah. So usually it's either going to be a high level VP of like innovation, or a director in some sort of capacity in that way, or maybe a smaller company, it might be a CEO or a VP of partnerships or vendors or something like that. But we also go direct to our actual end user, which would be chemists themselves. And so sometimes it is a chemist advocating for the platform upwards. Sometimes it is somebody at the top kind of getting their team invested in the platform from top to down. So it ranges. And then as far as how we find our customers or they find us, it's either through digital marketing, of course, which is essential at these days. I don't know how anybody does business without digital marketing. And then we also attend quite a few events throughout the year where we can network with people in person. They can see our booth. We can have those face-to-face chats, which are still really important.
Yeah, of course. And that's one of the things I would expect from a company like yours, especially when you work within the medical industry, let's say. That is a lot of face-to-face, still a lot of shaking hands still, which is a great thing, I think, that human connection that you make at those events, even if it's just about business, it's incomparable, I think.
Yeah.
But I also want to touch on, obviously for the people that don't do those things and they'll end up on your website, I guess, So how much of a role does your website play when it comes to putting in your clients? And is there anything that you think really works at the moment, or maybe anything you got your eye on improving?
Yeah. Our website is a huge part of our overall strategy and bringing people in. We have really been developing out our SEO on the platform so that when people are searching for, because we're in such a niche, right? Like we're in this such specific area. And so when people are out in the world searching those terms or searching for products similar to ours, we want to be showing up for them, right? And so our website is a key essential piece of that, and developing our SEO to be targeting those very niche customers, very niche search terms is really important for us. And then our website has been developed to funnel people to the correct path, right? So Ware has its quantum computing side, and then you can funnel into Prometheum if you want the software side, and then you can funnel into Q2B if you want to attend an event. And then once you're in the correct pathway, then again, it starts another funnel of trying to generate leads, right? That we can then pass on to the sales team. And then our website's integrated with HubSpot so that we can do that lead development and kind of lead nurturing internally once those people come in from the website.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. You mentioned, the lead gen side of things, because my follow-up of that was actually about your learnings, let's say, about what makes a website convert, right? And you can draw from your experience anywhere really, but if you want to talk about Ware really, is there anything, any tools, tips, or tricks, that you could recommend when it comes to making a website convert?
Mm-hmm. So I used to teach for digital marketing like boot camp for several different universities. And one of the things I would tell my students is that you need to keep it as simple as you possibly can. A second grader should be able to navigate your website. One of the things I feel like a lot of marketers don't focus on, or they maybe forget, or they don't know, is that readability plays a huge part in everything that we do as marketers. And the average reading level in the United States is about 6th, 7th grade. So it's much lower than most people assume. Now, in industries like mine, where we're talking about PhD level scientists and things, we can get away with a little bit more high level conversations. But the majority of marketing in general should be kept very, very low reading level, just so that people can find what they're looking for, understand it easily. And from my perspective, most marketing that is hyper successful, that goes viral, that makes a website just really shine, is keeping that reading level extremely low. Short sentences, big bold text where you want them to go. There should be never any sort of hesitation when somebody gets to your website of where do I go? If I want to contact, it should be bright and in the corner. I should be able to find that easily. If I want to read more about a product, I should be able to easily do that right from the product page. If I, as the marketer, want somebody to click in a certain place, or I want them to scroll in a certain way, I need to intentionally, in the UX, design that into the website. Like, we have to give our customer the path we want them to take, because the minute they hesitate is the minute that we might potentially lose them and send them off the site.
Yeah, that's a good point. Great point about, the readability of things. So I have a background in UX, and, anyone even marketing will know that the F-shaped pattern, that where people read, it's basically, in an F-shaped pattern. So, they read, maybe there's a long line and then they typically skim, right? So you design that content specifically for that, because people skim, they don't read. So yeah, I love your point about that. And also, yeah, just in general, just thinking about the usability of the website itself, right? That's a really good point. Let's switch gears for a second, Sarah. I just want to talk about you as a leader. So
Sure.
for you as a marketing director at Ware, what are the main things you focus on day to day, and what keeps you excited to work and do what you do?
Yeah. So I have a passion just for marketing in general. I love it. I am a big old marketing nerd. So that is where my passion lies, and I'm excited that I get to do it at QC Ware. And I know digital marketing is the thing now, but I really feel like it's super important to be blending digital marketing with traditional marketing. I still think it's very, very important to have a business card that feels really good when you hand it to somebody. If you're trying to say, hey, we're high quality, we do great work, we're very innovative. From the minute you hand somebody a piece of paper, it should feel like that. It shouldn't feel like cheap FedEx paper. And when you are talking about your digital tactics, you need to be holistic about it. So you can't just say, oh, we have a website, we'll get to the SEO later. Or, oh yeah, we have social media, but we don't think about the image size or how our video will play when we make a post. Like it has to be this kind of big picture view and then small picture execution. And kind of blending all of those things together. It's sort of a puzzle. And so I feel like the best marketing does all of those things. It puzzles all of these things together to be a much more cohesive and successful endeavor.
Yeah. Point. Do you find it hard to keep that balance between the operational and the strategic?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, everybody does, I feel like. And in marketing, it's not like anybody's out there saying, oh, we just have too much money, too many people on our team. We just have too much, support, right? Like that's never the that's never the marketing problem. And so trying to do all of the things within your budget or within the amount of people that you have to do the work. So there is a lot of I don't know, for lack of a better term, marketing triage of like, okay, this has to get done. This is the most important thing. This will be secondary. We'll get to it when we can. So there is an element of that, but at least being aware of all of the pieces and being able to kind of strategically order them in terms of what's most important or what's most revenue generating is really important. But you need to at least be aware of everything that could happen or needs to happen eventually.
Talking about awareness, I guess in a way, knowledge really. So there's a flood of content out there, right? How do you stay focused and keep learning? Are there certain places or routines that you turn to for inspiration or even staying ahead, if you will?
Yeah. So one of the things that I look for a lot is, so I'm in the B2B space, and I feel like in B2B, we are still like behind in terms of marketing. So a lot of times we say, oh, that's for B2C. We don't do that in B2B. We don't like, that's not for us, right? However, a lot of people feel like don't think about the fact that their customer gets marketed to all day, every day from every type of company. So if you're trying to market to them in a B2B space, you need to be thinking about what are they used to seeing, what stands out to them, what goes viral to them in their other world, and how can we kind of implement that in B2B? What gets engagement from people in general? And then how do we adapt that for B2B? And so I really like to focus on social media and kind of like how the trends develop there, because I feel like that's kind of the forefront of how trends will develop in other ways in marketing. So the first thing that we see on either TikTok or Instagram, I feel like TikTok is probably a trend leader in terms of what we see from marketing, with Instagram and Facebook then following behind. And so I feel like if you're somebody who is a marketer, it's really important for you to be online and not necessarily posting all of the time, but consuming and understanding what other people are doing and seeing what's out there and seeing what gets engagement on people's posts and things like that, because then we can use that as inspiration and adapt that for what we're trying to do and the message that we're trying to spread, and be able to do that and target our audience kind of in our own unique way.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I think what you said about using that, it's actually crucial because the risk then is otherwise to consume that content and not do anything with it. So there's no difference between that and just doom scrolling, on your phone and just consuming, and then you don't do anything with it. And, with TikTok, for example, being so fast paced and it's kind of addictive in a way, right? That it's quick, it's engaging. So you keep doing that. Well, talking about engaging actually and quick, I would love us to jump into a rapid fire question segment, if you don't mind. So are you ready for that?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's do it. So what's the latest book you picked up? And were there any gems or ideas that really stuck with you?
Yeah, I just finished, it's called Biology, like BUY-ology, by Martin Lindstrom. And he did a big multi-million-dollar neuroscience, neuromarketing study, basically looking at people from around the world and how they've encountered ads, logos, commercials, brands, products, whatever, and then understanding what really influences us in our decision to buy. So what is it about that marketing? What is it about that content that they saw that actually influenced people into making a buying decision? And so I thought that was really good. They hooked me with the little research study as you know, a way of getting me invested in it. But I thought it was a really excellent book, and it kind of gave a new narrative versus a lot of those marketing sales books. They're kind of just somebody's lived experience versus other people's outward experience. So I liked that it was global and took a lot of people's habits into account.
And science-based, I would assume,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of, yeah, it's a lot of that. So no fluff, I'm sure. Okay.
Less fluff, I would say.
Okay.
There's
good.
always a little bit of fluff.
That's not fair. There's gotta be, right? If you had a magic wand, Sarah, and you could fix one frustrating thing in your marketing life with tech right now, what would you fix?
Google Analytics. I feel like because
GA4?
it's still a developing platform, GA4 is new-ish and it's every day changing. You set up things one way and then tomorrow they make changes to the platform and then you got to set up stuff in a new way. And so trying to keep your data consistent when the platform is changing all the time makes things tricky. So that's my big pain point right now is I wish Google Analytics would just solidify themselves.
Fair. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
You're not alone in this.
I know it's a common
100%.
complaint, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. Okay, so what's one repetitive task that you love to put on autopilot forever?
Social media posting. So I don't know how other marketers feel, but at the end of the day, I'm like social media out. And so if you could just like rotate and post itself, that would be great. And I wouldn't have to think about it again. But unfortunately it doesn't do that. And so we'll keep investing our time and efforts there.
Yeah, I feel your pain. Sarah, I want to thank you a lot for being on the show with us today. As we wrap up, I want to give you the last word. So if someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is the one thing that they should remember about the work you're doing at QC Ware, and what's the company doing in general?
Yeah, so I guess just remember that we are trying to innovate and always provide a platform that helps people and that is going to be kind of on the cutting edge of technology. So.
Amazing. And if someone wants to check out, your products and what you guys are doing, where should they go?
Yeah, we're at qcware.com. So pretty easy website address.
Easy to remember too. Amazing.
Yep.
Sarah, thanks again for joining us today. And yeah, we really hope to see you again soon. And best of luck with everything at QC Ware.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Of course. Bye, everyone.